It amazed me when I read that so many of the small number, relatively speaking, but nonetheless, so many of that small number of free blacks in the South supported the Confederacy. Now, maybe they had no choice.
It's always hard to tell which expressed support because they had no choice and which did so out of conviction. But we need to remember that among the very small free black population to begin with, about 250,000 in the South by the time of the Civil War, there are pockets. The average free black person in the South is very poor and bears all the burdens of suspicion, fear, and racial animosity. But there are pockets, usually of very light-skinned, quote, black people, end quote, such as in and around New Orleans or in Mobile, who entered the United States, or their ancestors did, from areas that were previously part of the Spanish or French empires, where the disabilities that went along with being considered black were less than in the United States. Handfuls of those people could acquire a fair amount of property, and even as they try to distinguish themselves from black people, and signing on with the Confederacy is one way of proving your white credentials. And so that's where you see the loudest protestations of pro-Confederate sentiment among the best off, unusually well off.
There were even among that handful, there is an even smaller handful that, glory be, they owned slaves.
Some did. Many of those who on the books owned slaves actually had simply purchased their spouses. But this was simply a way of freeing a spouse.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and the leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.